Let me ask you, what does this have to do with wildfires? What does this have to do with hurricanes? Why are there factories all over the United States that are hooked up together that do this at specific times? I can see this factory every single solitary day from where I'm sitting right now. All I have to do is turn around and I can see this. The only time this facility is belching this into the atmosphere is right before a storm is coming. And that's all there is to it. Other than that, it just sits there. This facility sits directly next to General Electric. Notice that it is causing a massive amount of clouds to form in the atmosphere right above it. This only happens before a predicted weather event that's going to be more than 24 hours long. Period. This is NASA. This is from 4 days ago. People gather around to watch this happen because they're allegedly testing the rocket they're going to use to get humans onto the planet Mars. Now, there's an awful lot of things wrong with that, but this looks awfully similar to what I just showed you, doesn't it? This is how they do things in plain view. Not only in plain view, but people actually gather around. It's an event. Hey, look at this. And they know that this affects the weather directly.
Move 5 cemeteries because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And, as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
They do all of this directly in plain sight, no pun intended. And people just don't seem to understand it. It's beyond me. They have dumbed down, indoctrinated, and programmed using their broadcasting of spells through television and every other black scrying mirror electronic device. They've done this, and people are accepting of it. You can simply look up at the chemical trails left behind, like this right here, and see that that's not water vapor because it's too uniform. There's 2 separate compounds being sprayed right here. And these all weave together like a giant spider web in the sky. Now, I've been saying this to you for years, and still people can't seem to hear it. It doesn't make any sense to me. These guys are just reveling in this. That's not what water vapor turns into. It doesn't turn into silly string in the sky that has small microfibers in the center of it that keep it in a long, linear, uniform line. This constantly makes me think about the patent and the big news story that they put out. It could be a stretch.
Farming spiders like silkworms and silking out all the super strong fiber that we need.
The problem is you can throw 1,000 silkworms together and a ton of eucalyptus leaves in there and they'll happily make silk cocoons for you. If you throw 1,000 spiders together, I guarantee you in 24 hours you'll have one.
Spiders are not team players. They're fiercely territorial, often cannibalistic, bristling with attitude.
Spiders have serious attitudes.
What if you somehow crossed this fearsome predator with a more gregarious animal? Something that Dr. Jeffrey Turner has already done with goats.
Hello, girls. How are you today? This farm is located outside Montreal, Canada. These are very special goats. Within their genetic makeup is one spider silk gene.
In a spider, the gene is responsible for the making of so-called dragline silk, the strongest natural fiber known to science. Dragline is the silk favored for the radii of the web and to suspend from. It's a spider's lifeline. How do you get the gene into the goat? You start with the embryo, or fertilized egg.
What we do is we take a very fine glass pipette and we add just a few copies of the gene into this fertilized goat egg. What happens then, when the goat egg is a single cell, is that the spider silk gene becomes part of one of the chromosomes.
I know this may all be a stretch as far as the spiders, the goats, and the chemtrails, but what else would they possibly be using that for? And think about it. How do they get this incredibly light, incredibly strong stuff that literally combines in the middle of the sky and blocks out the sun? It creates like a blanket in the atmosphere or a solar shield. These guys are producing the weather right in front of us under the guise that they're building a rocket to go to Mars. They can't even go to the moon, but now we're going to Mars. And it's amazing because society simply accepts it because scientists said so. It's absolutely astounding to me. But yet, this is where we are right now. And so many people are still talking about the HAARP machines doing it HAARP. Why do you think they put NEXRAD and Doppler radar all over the country? It certainly isn't to give us precise weather reports, because the weather is ridiculous. The weather people are ridiculous. Weathermen are now gone. All the weather reporters are the same. They all wear the same exact royal colors. They wear purple, red, and blue. Red and blue make purple, so forth and so on. News reporting, weather reporting, it's all been washed to the wayside. Again, no pun intended. It's all entertainment. So the Doppler and NEXRAD that are located all over the country, along with the ELF, the Gwen towers, and the cell phone towers, are there to push, pause, magnify, diminish the weather. And they've told.
One aspect of the climate problem that people sometimes don't appreciate is the timescale. The fact that a large fraction of the carbon we're putting in the atmosphere will still be there thousands, even tens of thousands of years from now. But another part of the timescale of climate change is the timescale of the energy systems on which our society is built. Yet, as scary as that is, as uncertain as some of the impacts of solar geoengineering may be, I think the evidence is clearer and clearer that not doing solar geoengineering and letting climate change proceed may be actually worse as an alternative.
So you just heard him say, as scary, unpredictable, and unknown as all of this is going to be, we're still going to do it, and they are. But the thing that scares me the most is, why 2017? Out of every other year where they simply denied it, covered it up, fired whoever talked about it, quieted everybody, why have they suddenly come out? Because they have. And this is old news now. And I have still yet to hear this topic from any person other than on YouTube or in a forum. And even the stalwart so-called experts that people like yourself, myself have followed for years deny that this has anything to do with it. They're still talking about that old HAARP machine. HAARP can bend the ionosphere. It can trigger things. NEXRAD, Doppler, all these other devices that are in every single town, every single city, sometimes they're side by side. Those are the culprits. That's what they're using. Now, one of my favorite YouTubers from way, way back put out a video today, and he is basically laughing at the theory of a directed energy weapon in California because it's attached to Judy Wood. I don't necessarily believe anything Judy Wood says. I never really have. But the directed energy weapons, I absolutely do think that because they're coming out with it over and over and over again. It isn't just a coincidence that Geostorm came out exactly when it did, as well as the other movie, The Bravest, about firefighters, guys fighting wildfires. This is how they communicate to each other. This is how they give us. This is how they think they tell us what's really going on is going on. If we catch it, we catch it. If we don't, that's on you. They told you and you missed it. It's getting absolutely insane. And I, for one, do not consent. We need to make it viral. Richie from Boston. I am out.